The conversation about the quarterback for the Cardinals, you've said something all along, Wolf, that I agree with, but I'm not sure if we've totally hit that, okay? So you've said all along, once you make the switch from from Kyler Murray to Jacoby Brissett, if you do that, that's it. There's really no going back.
Yeah.
And I agree. If this were, hey, you know what? Kyler's not getting it done. We're going to go to Jacoby. I think that's it. I mean, maybe you would have to go back to Kyler if Jacoby got hurt or something, but by the end of the season, it's done, obviously, for next year. This is just cloudy enough where I wonder if it's not quite that, where if Jacoby Brissett struggled against Seattle and struggled against San Francisco and Kyler was getting healthier, as you would assume he would. We still don't really have a firm timeline for that, by the way, that they maybe could go back to him. Where are you on that with the kind of extra X factor in all this?
Yeah, for me, once again, once you make that move, you've made that move. If you're starting Jacoby Brissett over Kyler Murray in one game, you're saying you don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be your starting quarterback going forward. I think that is an honest and fair assessment. If you're starting Jacoby Brissett over a healthy Kyler Murray in one game, you immediately create a question mark. And if you don't know Kyler Murray is going to be your starting quarterback going forward, are you not in the quarterback market at that point in time?
Well, that's
if you don't know.
That's the question, right? Because as much as I'm saying the way it's being presented, you could still say to the media and the fans in 2 or 3 weeks, hey, Kyler's healthy. We're going back to him. We weren't going to throw him out there when he wasn't fully healthy, which is true. There's a lot of truth to that. I'm not saying they're lying. And by the way, it's exactly what I said yesterday I would do. So I'm not criticizing them for doing this. But as much as you could say that to the media and the fans, what are you saying behind the scenes to Kyler?
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I mean, if you benched Kyler this week, essentially, or if he knows you were going to bench him even if he was healthy, then it doesn't really matter how it's being presented to the fans and the media. That's because below the surface, changes have already happened.
Yeah, it's interesting, Basinonians. Do you think everybody has an opinion on this?
It seemed like everybody on the planet did on Monday night.
I'm just saying, everybody has got an opinion on this, and that includes the guys that are inside the locker room. They have an opinion on this as well. And that's a situation where, for the most part, I can tell you, when I was playing football, you asked no quarter and you gave no quarter. And if there was a player that was producing better than another player at a position, we all would sit there and rally around that guy who was playing well. Not the guy so much that wasn't playing well, but the expectation we all would have is this guy's going to play over this guy because he's playing better. Isn't that what it's supposed to be all about? Competition on a football team? The difference is what you're getting paid. And that's why it always comes in the business of the NFL. The business of the NFL is different than being in the NFL, if that makes sense, and competing against a player.
It also feels like, too, if your third linebacker or whatever is outperforming your number one linebacker, and gradually over the season he's just going to play more. It's not going to be as huge of a deal as if it's the quarterback. Like nobody holds press conferences and nobody's leading SportsCenter with, hey, are they going to make a switch along the defensive line rotation this week? But when it's a quarterback, I mean, how the Cardinals haven't gotten much talk nationally this season, but the second everything switched with Kyler and Jacoby, they're like leading major national shows with this because it is a quarterback. Kyler's a high-profile quarterback, and it's a team in the NFL, one of 32 teams making a quarterback change. For whatever reason, they're making the change. Whatever you believe the reason is, the change has been made until further notice.
Yes, and can I also say that once you make that move, you have deposed your starting quarterback, basically, inside the locker room. And I know you're not trying to depose him, okay?
Just trying to win
But
games.
I'm just saying right now, when you say, okay, we're going to go with this guy in this game, even though we could go either way, even though we could go with Kyler Murray or Jacoby Brissett, we're going to go with Jacoby Brissett, even though Kyler is healthy. You've deposed your starting quarterback. You have. And you may not think it is that way, but certainly to the guys in the locker room, that's exactly what it is.
That's the part that, I can't argue with that. Because I do think it's a little bit different on the surface. Again, it's not like they benched Kyler Murray after the Tennessee game. They never would have played Jacoby Brissett if Kyler Murray didn't get hurt. But Jacoby Brissett played. He played better. He made the offense better. And all of a sudden now Jacoby Brissett, we know he's starting on Tuesday for the following, the game coming up against Seattle. This is different now.
Yes. It's near impossible to rebuild a quarterback that's been deposed in the locker room once it happens. It's near impossible to do it. Think how many quarterbacks you've actually seen get demoted due to his play on the field and then reclaim the starting job and go on to be the franchise quarterback that he once was.
For that franchise
yes,
specifically.
for that franchise specifically. There's not a lot of guys that come to mind. It is the vast exception to the rule if it does happen. And I'm trying to think of one.
Yeah, you're right.
Even happened.
You brought this up earlier, and all I could come up with was a couple guys that weren't named the starter out of camp and then took over as the season went on. The only name I can kind of come up with is Jimmy Garoppolo, but he never became San Francisco's franchise quarterback.
Yes.
They just had to they kept trying not to go to him, and everybody else kept getting hurt, and they kept going to him.
And because it's so difficult, Basin Onions, once you make that move to rebuild him in the locker room and suddenly go forward as you're our starting quarterback. Yeah, you know what happened a month ago where we went ahead and we said, this guy is actually better than you, gives us a better chance of actually winning a game. Forget all about that, man. We didn't mean any of that. It's really difficult to put that toothpaste back into the tube.
Hey,
how about that? Nailed it.
Progress.
A king deposed is a franchise quarterback deposed.
Yeah, and the other part of this too is just the timeline that you have to work with. Let's just say they wanted to go down that path you're talking about. Okay, Kyler gets healthy, and okay, he's our guy, and we have to rebuild him in the locker room. And I mean, certainly, if Jacoby Brissett keeps playing like this, they're not going back to Kyler Murray. I think that part is clear.
Yeah.
The only way there's even a conversation is if Jacoby starts to slip up, and I would say for more than one game, and Kyler gets healthy, and then to your point, you not only have to make that switch, but build him back up in the locker room. Well, there's not that much time left in the season. I mean, there's time, but in terms of real time, their final game of the year is basically a little less than 2 months from now.
Yeah.
So do you really have, let's say Kyler misses 3 or 4 more weeks, are you really going to bring him back, get everything all built back up for a couple games, and then is he your quarterback next year?
Well,
that's the big thing. It feels like he's not the quarterback in 2026 because this was a prove-it year. What's he going to prove in 3 or 4 games?
Yeah, you say there's time, but there's not that much time. Time for what? Time for the rest of the season, how many games they have left, or time to maybe turn this season around and get back into it.
I think there's time to turn the season around. I'm saying when you consider this was a prove-it year for everything, and Kyler, not that he was on the hot seat coming in, but it was like, okay, let's see what he can do.
I honestly think
maybe it was
in year 3, this was a prove-it year for Kyler, and said as much.
So you consistently said that. So, there's 9 games left. Can you turn your season around in 9 games? Yeah. But if you're starting to talk about, okay, Kyler's going to miss this one, and maybe he misses the next 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever, and he's coming back in week 15 against Houston, then he's got 4 games left.
Yeah.
That's not enough time to prove it anyway. And in your prove-it year, you got a soft benching. So I don't know. I don't know what the rest of this season looks like, but it certainly feels like it's trending towards them having a different quarterback in 2026.
Agreed.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.